MAGA Republicans are getting fact-checked left and right. Marjorie Taylor Greene just made a wild Twitter post that went viral and then blew up in her face when people fact-checked her. I want to break that down, but first, Florida Senator Rick Scott posted a new campaign video where he lies. He outright lies to his constituents. He claims that he will always protect IVF when just one day prior, he voted against the Right to IVF Act. And the Twitter community fact-check immediately got him. So he tweeted out, "Each of my 7 grandkids is a precious gift from God, but sometimes families need help. You can count on this grandpa to always protect IVF. Watch my latest campaign ad." And I'm not going to give his new ad any free airtime, but the community fact check on Twitter, which sometimes comes in handy, said Rick Scott voted to oppose the Right to IVF bill. It's a classic case of Republicans campaigning on something or pretending to care about something only when it affects them personally. Many Republicans are incredibly homophobic until they have a niece or a cousin who turns out to be gay, and then all of a sudden they soften on the issue. Or I know people personally who are Republicans who were always anti-abortion until they had a pregnancy scare in college, and then all of a sudden they are completely pro-choice. But this article reads, Senator Rick Scott says he will, quote, always protect IVF one day after voting against a bill to protect IVF. The Republican senator released a new ad on Friday saying sometimes families need a little help, but voted against the Right to IVF Act just one day prior. On Thursday, 47 Republicans in the Senate voted against the Right to IVF Act, which would protect and expand nationwide access to fertility treatment, including in vitro fertilization. The bill, sponsored by Senator Tammy Duckworth of Illinois, did not receive enough votes to pass the Senate. The only 2 Republican senators to vote in support of the bill were Senator Lisa Murkowski and Senator Susan Collins. Now, Republican Senator Rick Scott is touting his personal support for IVF in a new ad on social media. In the ad, he mentions his youngest daughter, who is currently going through IVF treatments and hopes to expand her family, and says, quote, she and I both agree IVF must be protected. But of course, the roll call shows that Senator Rick Scott voted against the Right to IVF Act just one day prior. It's blatant hypocrisy, just like this post from Marjorie Taylor Greene that went completely viral. It blew up in her face. She posted a tweet of her receipt after dinner and said, I absolutely love President Trump's plan for no tax on tips. Write it on every receipt you sign. And then she posted a picture of a receipt, and it shows that she spent $721 at a restaurant. And she can spend her money how she wants. It's not my place to say unless she's spending taxpayer dollars. But she's constantly complaining about Biden's economy day in and day out, claiming that we are on the verge of a recession, that the economy is melting down. She uses this apocalyptic rhetoric about our economy, but then goes out and spends $720. And people called her out for that. Friend of the show, Brett Meiselas, said, a $721 dinner. The Biden economy has got to be booming for Marge to splurge like this. Keep sending those donations her way, MAGA. Marjorie Taylor Greene is feasting on MAGA donations, literally, but she takes in all these MAGA donations, then spends it on $720 dinners. Unless Lauren Boebert met her and they got a bunch of alcohol, there's no way to justify this, even then. But Jojo from Jersey says, hold the hell on. You're out there every damn day telling us that the economy is, quote, so bad the American people can't afford groceries, yet you're dropping $700 on a single restaurant meal. That's more than a hell of a lot of people make in a week. Hell, it took me nearly 2 weeks to make that when I worked in education. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is out there publicly posting that on social media, touting that, flaunting how much money she's spending. It's kind of in bad taste. Brian Tyler Cohen said, the economy under Biden is apparently so bad that Marjorie Taylor Greene is enjoying $720 dinners. It's almost like she wants to be called out, like she has a fetish for being called out on Twitter. How could she not see the hypocrisy posting this after just yesterday, just the past few days, few weeks, saying that the economy is melting down? The MAGA wing of the Republican Party really seems to attract the worst of the worst types of politicians. Someone else who got fact-checked was Mark Robinson out of North Carolina, the dude who has said that women shouldn't be able to vote. He's openly compared LGBTQ people to pedophiles pedophilia and he's denied the Holocaust. That's just the tip of the iceberg. He's an awful person. You guys know Mark Robinson. Apparently, shortly after January 6th, Mark Robinson called for jailing rioters. A year later, he was calling them political prisoners. In an April 2021 interview with pro-Trump radio host Hugh Hewitt, Mark Robinson called January 6th a bunch of lawlessness that needs to be handled and said the rioters, quote, need to be punished to the full extent of the law. This is a break from Robinson and MAGA Republican rhetoric on the topic now. Robinson declared back then, quote, what happened on January 6th was not right and the law needs to take its course. Those people need to be found. They need to be properly adjudicated and they need to be jailed. Robinson's tune then changed as Trump began defending himself and his actions. In a Facebook post in 2022, Robinson called the January 6th rioters political prisoners, which is echoing the rhetoric of Donald Trump. People on Twitter were calling Mark Robinson out for his hypocrisy. We even have comedy groups targeting him. This reads, Americans for Prosperity rolls out campaign targeting sexist North Carolina gubernatorial candidate Mark Robinson. Satirical men lead, women breed mobile billboards to appear at North Carolina GOP convention and Coca-Cola 600 NASCAR race. Here are pictures of the mobile billboards that will be going around quoting Mark Robinson in his disgusting quote when he said, men lead, women breed. It's a genius plan to bring awareness because MAGA Republicans need pushback. In a moment in American history when Donald Trump has the entire party wrapped around his finger, someone needs to reel in, someone needs to be the pushback, and right now that is liberals. Whether it's through debate or through comedy or through social media education campaigns or just making TikToks educating people, it is important to be pushing back against this authoritarian movement that is MAGA, because once people like Mark Robinson or people like Marjorie Taylor Greene or Rick Scott gain legitimacy, once we start to cede ground to MAGA lunatics like that, then we see a further erosion of our democracy, of these silent norms that Donald Trump has been undermining for the past few years ever since he stepped foot into politics off the back of the Obama birther conspiracy that he spread. Because they will enable him. They will run defense for him no matter what. For example, yesterday, or maybe it was 2 days ago, Donald Trump on Capitol Hill had a meeting with CEOs, and apparently he was completely incoherent during it. He was meandering. He couldn't get the words out of his mouth. Watch this clip of Kevin O'Leary being asked about it.
Hey, some of the words that were used, you heard Andrew, meandering, all over the map, doesn't know what he's talking about, could not keep a straight thought. I mean, some in the C-suite seem reportedly baffled by the former president's incoherence during the private meeting.
Donald Trump is genuinely losing it. I've been watching a lot of his speeches lately for research purposes, and he becomes increasingly incoherent as the speech goes on, and MAGA will run defense for him no matter what. They will run defense for everything he does, from his rambling speeches to his authoritarian urges, and that's why they need to be defeated and voted out when November comes. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment a blue heart. There's too many comments for me to reply to, but I try to reply to as many as I can. I read through all of them. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and have a great day.